today. Now, here's the email I received from this parent. Dear Janet, my house is pure chaos since having my third. He's now 2.5 months. I'm home alone a lot because of my husband's career. I used to have a set schedule that allowed for house cleaning, self-care, and one-on-one time for both of my daughters. That has completely gone out the window. My almost 6-year-old and 2-year-old whine, scream, interrupt, etc. now. I've never had behavior issues like this from them. They are literally fighting for my attention. My eldest voices that she needs me, and my 2-year-old is extra whiny when I don't hold her for a long period of time. They get very frustrated when I set boundaries and ask them to play alone for a while. I think it's because they know they'll never really get the quality time they need. I have very little time to give, and I'm so overwhelmed. I breastfeed, and baby has acid reflux, so my time is often consumed with him. I would love some suggestions of any kind because I'm burnt out and my girls are miserable. My house is chaotic, and I don't enjoy being a mom right now. I feel guilty and responsible for their behavior change. Help! Okay, so wow, this family has a lot on their plate. And what I hope to do is to help reframe this situation for this mother a bit so that she feels less overwhelmed and maybe she even can find windows of enjoying being a parent right now. Since she's feeling like she's drowning in this situation, I want to frame my suggestions as lifelines. And the first one is submit to this passage. This family is in one of life's passages. It's a really tough, messy one. And that can be true with the first baby or the 10th baby. This is a different time of life. It sounds like this mother had a very organized life, and maybe she's the kind of person that needs that or that thrives with the schedule that allowed for house cleaning, self-care, and one-on-one time for both of her daughters. She says that's completely gone out the window. Yes, it has. And it needs to. It needs to shift. And this mother will feel less overwhelmed if she can submit, let go, and allow herself to be in this passage. It is a very difficult time, but it's not forever. They will come out of this. And I can relate to this idea of submitting to a passage because actually I've just been in one with my third child, my baby.
Organs and tissues and keeping us, ideally optimally functional. That's why, when we get started, we're still developing and we're not quite optimally optimized yet. So it's kind of like a butterfly, coming out of a chrysalis. The wings are still wet, need to dry up before we can fully flesh ourselves out. And that's kind of like adolescence, young adulthood. Then we wind up, being these beautiful pictures of health. Most of us, some people do get sick. But then most of us get to that middle-age-ish point where, the pluses and minuses of life start to take their toll on us and our defenses start to get overwhelmed. And so the question is, what can we do to better ourselves? And the conventional thinking out there is, juicing, jogging, and yoga are probably good for us, and they are. But now we have really advanced knowledge. And, I think this is something that your listeners will love to hear about. Like, what do we know from the frontiers of science that give us that insight onto how our body actually heals itself, repairs itself, keeps us going?
I'm glad you didn't write yet another book about juicing, yoga, and jogging, because it feels like everyone's been saying that for 30 years. It hasn't really worked that well.
Totally
if you look
agree.
at death rates from cardiovascular disease or Alzheimer's or diabetes or anything else, in fact, it seems like sort of crappy advice because we aren't all getting healthier. What's missing?
Well, I can tell you that what's missing is a more holistic approach that's informed by science. I think that the confusing thing about foods and health that have, I think, reigned supreme over the last decade, maybe 2 decades, is that everybody's thinking about the superfood or the super diet that's going to solve everything. And, as a systems biologist myself, and I know I'm talking to somebody who thinks this way, we have to understand life's not simple. It's very complicated. Our body's not simple. It's very complicated. And one system works with the other, either to help us or actually to take us down. And so the reality about health defenses is that this is an intertwined system, set of biological systems. They're hardwired inside us, and they help our circulation, for example. That's the angiogenesis system. They help us regenerate from the inside out. That's our stem cell system. Our microbiome happens to be an entire ecosystem inside our body that functions on our behalf until it's disturbed or perturbed.